Welcome back, everybody. It is, oh my God, I don't know what time it is. I don't know what day it is. It's Championship Week Video Notebook, day number 9, according to Salika's screen. I'm Chad Sherwood, John Salika, David Dorman, the puppet David Griggs, still locked away safely in the puppet bunker.
It's not
Um,
safe in here.
Does that say Brad Paisley imprisoned?
yeah, he obviously doesn't even know how to spell anymore. Now it is false lay improve. I mean, two typos in there. It was, I thought my spelling was bad half the time, but um, let's see. What do we do during these shows here? We go ahead and we do news and notes, and then we go through all the conference tournament games, and then we go through our survival board. First of all, I want to start by welcoming everybody that's new to the website. We've got a lot of ton of traffic this March, ton of new followers on Twitter. So anybody that's new to this show, welcome.
Thank
Um,
you.
thank you for joining. I'm sorry that you have to watch this, but you're going to have to because we're going to do this. Um, but news and notes off. Jalen Clark for UCLA out for the Pac-12 tournament at least. Dorman, and you're a Pac-12 guy. That's big news if he's not available, especially for the NCAA tournament.
That is big news if he's not available, but he's not available for this Thursday, but he's perfectly fine for next Thursday. So
Yeah.
that's what UCLA says. I don't know how you could be 100% sure that he's fine next week, but he's not sure he can't play in 2 days. So
Oh well,
It's a very simple answer though, because if they say that he's not going to be fine for longer than this week, there's a chance that the committee could dock them a spot or two on the seed list.
yeah. But the athletic trainer in UCLA said he's going to be fine, so he's going to be fine.
Okay. And Griggs, I know you're very happy about this. Out of the Mountain West, San Jose State.
Yes.
Omari Moore wins Player of the Year. That was it. That was the big win when they get San Jose State.
Well, no. Well, I mean, Tim Miles won Coach of the Year.
Oh yeah,
And
that's it.
I was kind of insulted that they only gave him one award for it. Like he should have gotten two or three. And he's got San Jose State just 9 games away from the title. I mean, it's so close you can smell it.
Let's go to games today. We had a bunch of championships games and start things off, Salika, in the Colonial Athletic Association. Uh, College of Charleston kind of did it was almost like, felt like a replay of their game against Towson, where big lead, then we fall down early, then you take a big lead, then you fall back down again, and then you come back and you find a way to win.
I think they ended up being up 6 early in the second half. Then UNCW goes on a 15-0 run. Looks like they completely have all the momentum in the world, largely thanks to foul shots and a couple of 2-point shots. There was only one 3-pointer they hit during their run, but then the Cougars finally get the sense of urgency and they respond with an 18-5 run of their own, and they finally take control and end up getting the auto bid and getting a bunch of thank you cards from just about every other bubble team on the board.
I actually got here that it was an 18-0 run by UNC Wilmington when they built a 7-point lead in the second half, and 12-0 and 18-5 on the Charleston run late. But 31 wins. Griggs, I could see them getting above the first four, like into the 11 line out of the 12 line now.
Possibly. One would have to think that if they were inside the bubble, then they still would be, which, that's about where they would land, I suppose, 11 or
Well,
higher.
I don't know that they were inside the bubble, but
I don't either. Yeah.
I think with this win, they kind of are. If like the Colonial Suddenly lost its auto bid, I think they'd still be in that type of thing.
Yeah. Okay. Actually, yeah. So, yeah, I'm thinking that's about where they'll land. I mean, it was a big year. The strength of schedule was not a top 300 strength of schedule, and that would work against them, but it doesn't matter. I mean, they're in. They're in the round of 64.
Yeah, there it is. An impressive 31 wins, none against Tier 1, only 3 against Tier 2. That was the problem. 335 strength of schedule. Dorman, it was championship day in the Horizon League, and NKU Cleveland State. This was a really good game.
Fantastic. This was one of the best games of the night. Went back and forth. Cleveland State hit some big shots. Northern Kentucky came back at them. Down the stretch they went, but Northern Kentucky hit a few more shots. And we'll take the Horizon League auto bid to the tournament. And one of the teams I really wouldn't want to see in my bracket. They're going to need to play almost a perfect game. But this team is good and they're well coached. Darren Horn is the coach. He took Western Kentucky to the tournament. He's a really good coach and he knows what he's doing. He's been there before. So look for this team to be ready. Yeah, look for this team to be ready and well prepared.
I believe this is this now their fourth NCAA tournament, or at least their
It
third.
is.
Fourth in
forever.
7 years.
Yeah, since
They lost
completing
in
the
the finals
transition.
last year.
Yeah, since completing the transition, it's their fourth in 7 years, and I think they've been to the championship game. Stilico will correct me if I'm wrong. 6 in those 7 years.
I know they were in there last year, but I just
Last
can't
year,
remember
yep.
if they lost to Wright State a second time.
Yeah. So
While those were let's go to the one other really good championship game. Even though it was not for an automatic bid, Fairleigh Dickinson had already clinched it. It was like a heck of a game between FDU and Merrimack in the NEC title game.
It looked like Fairleigh Dickinson was going to get the win after pulling a 7-point lead late in the second half, but to their credit, Merrimack never went away and score the final 8 points to win their first NEC tournament title and officially complete their transition.
yeah,
And let me throw this out here. This is now in 4 years, 2 regular season titles and an NEC tournament championship for Merrimack in their 4 transitional years. Throw in there what Bellarmine did last year. Throw in there how good St. Thomas has already been in the Summit League. If there is any doubt that the NCAA has that these teams that are transitioning need 4 years to be ready to compete at the D1 level, the last 2-3 years have showed us that that is utter and complete bullshit, Griggs.
yeah, it is. So the stated reason, and it's not the real reason, and everybody knows what the real reason is. It's to stem the flow of teams moving up to D1. But the stated reason is that they need time to get assimilated. I don't know how the hell you can become more assimilated than finishing first and winning tournaments. But
Why doesn't the NCAA let the team on the floor decide? If they're ready and they can compete, let them go. If they're not, they'll lose.
I
I'm with you, Dorman. I would be set. I would actually settle for them just coming out and saying, you know what, we don't want a free for all moving up to D1. We don't want 400 teams. Okay.
Well, we'll find
But
some
they
other.
decide who gets in. They decide who gets invited to the D1 level anyway. So they have control of the whole process.
Yeah, but make the process stricter somewhere else. Make
Yeah,
agreed.
you have to have more
Yes.
requirements before you move up. Don't make it
Yes.
4 years. I get 2 years I could maybe live with. 1 year I think is fine. 4 years is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, I can think of one right off the bat. Make it 18 sports instead of 16. That you have to be D1.
There you go. That makes it harder
Yeah.
because it's a bigger money investment
Yeah.
to do that.
Right.
We had 2 other championships. Griggs, the Summit League Championship. Oral Roberts. Wow. This game was over about 30 seconds in, I think.
It was. I think the halftime score was 51-20, and in order to
was.
make the game exciting, I decided to say if Oral Roberts does not score a single point for the rest of the game, could they still win it? And it was a huge second half comeback by North Dakota State to get above the 51 in a very exciting game if you watched it from that perspective.
Max Ace and the Oral Roberts Golden Eagles back into the NCAA tournament. A very dangerous, probably 12 seed as well here.
We've watched Oral Roberts a lot this year. I know we all have. This might be. I didn't see all 34 games or however many they played. Out of the 15 or 16 I did see, this is the most impressive one.
Yeah.
It really was. Yeah.
Stilica, West Coast Conference Championship game. We had Oral Roberts on one channel. We had this one on the other channel. They were both complete clunkers of games.
Well, thankfully, this is why I was watching the Southland that we'll get to a little bit later. But this was clearly the best Gonzaga had played since they went to LMU and took a 40-point lead at halftime in that game and pretty much ended LMU's season right here. You look at Gonzaga, they're clearly going to end up in the 3 line as a result right here. And St. Mary's, I still think they're going to be okay as a 5 unless a bunch of 6s suddenly make some deep runs themselves.
I could see a fall to a 6 line just because the metrics are not going to like the way that they played tonight, and some of those I could see some of the numbers going down. And I mean, they just no-showed this game completely. And but I don't think any lower than a 6 line though, personally. But the Zags, uh, Dorman, how dangerous is this team that's now suddenly red hot there? I think this team can win the whole damn thing right now.
Yeah.
Totally agree. They're shooting the ball so well. Their defense is all over the place. Their defense smothers you. They wouldn't let the point guard get set in the offense. Every time St. Mary's took a shot, there was a guy right in their face. They get back so quickly after they score, Gonzaga. I'm with you, Chad. This team can win the whole thing.
Griggs, it was semifinal day in the Big Sky Conference, and a pair of games that were worth discussing, beginning with Northern Arizona doing it again, this time to Montana.
So Northern Arizona won their 10th D1 game today. 3 have been in the last 36 hours. And you had indicated that like a lot of games had been close and maybe their record was not as good as they actually
3
were.
and 13 in games decided by 10 points or less during the regular
I
season.
still think this is utterly preposterous, what we've seen in this tournament. I wouldn't have been shocked that Idaho knocked them out. And they go out, they beat Northern, and then even when they beat Eastern Washington, you figured it was a flukish thing. But they actually went out and were the better team today. It wasn't luck. And now do you have to see whatever it is that it took them to the 11th and a half hour to get to the point to where they are now, but here they are. And if they win tomorrow, which if they play the way they did today tomorrow, or is it yesterday today? I don't know what time it is. They can win tomorrow. They
I
can win
agree.
the game. Yeah.
Dorman, the second game here, though, we had a double overtime rock fight, a game that was tied at 48 at the end of regulation. Each team got a whopping 4 points each in the first overtime to be tied at 52. And then on an alley-oop, Montana State advances.
This was a physical brawl. Both teams really got down on defense, and you could see both teams knew the tendencies of the other. And by the end of the last 10 minutes of the second half, both teams were exhausted. All the shots were coming up short. Also, they had the late game. So Northern Arizona was way off the court 3 hours before Montana State was. Advantage Northern Arizona. And like I just said, the game was physical. And that game took a lot out of Montana State. Advantage Northern Arizona.
Yeah. I mean, Dylan Jones for Weber State played about 3,000 minutes in tonight's game himself. Advantage Northern Arizona. So, Salika, do you agree? Do you think Northern Arizona wins this championship tomorrow night?
I'm still going to stick with my original pick of Montana State to end up winning the whole thing.
Okay. Well, it is a late game. It's not till 11:30, so it's not like they have to come back with an early game tomorrow. This is a new thing. This conference tournament championship used to be on Saturday. They moved it up to Wednesday night and gave it a late night start. What are we up to here, Sleeka? Let me go back to you again. Southland Conference. It was semifinal day, and so much for our lower seeded teams being undefeated in this conference.
McNeese finally looked like a team that was playing its third game in 3 days. Now, New Orleans, on the other hand, they didn't seem to be terribly fatigued right here. Northwestern State did have to go tooth and nail into the final minute to finally hold off the Privateers. But now at least we get the top 2 seeds meeting in the championship game after what had been a completely upside down tournament for the first couple rounds.
Yeah, and how about this game, Griggs? Corpus Christi, Northwestern State. It's game last night you said you wanted to see.
It was, yeah, it is, and it was. I'm kind of glad the chalk held, and I think it'll be a good game, but I like Northwestern State.
Okay, the way they played tonight, I think Corpus Christi looked good. I think Northwestern State did not look good, and Northwestern State has really been all over the place all season. So they better be.
Yeah, they have been.
They better be good Northwestern State tomorrow. Otherwise, they cannot win this game.
Right. Tomorrow would be a really bad night to have a really bad night.
Yeah. Dorman, it was also semifinal day in the America East, and Vermont did awful things to Binghamton, but the Lowell, New Hampshire game was a little bit better than that.
Really good game. Lowell jumped out like a 10, 12-point lead in the first half. about halfway through, and I thought, well, here it goes. That's going to be the end of New Hampshire. But they fought back really well. They were down only tied or 1 or 2 at the half, and they put some runs together in the second half. They really kept it tight. But Lowell had too much. They were playing on their home court in front of the home crowd. It was an exciting game. It was a tight game. I think that helps Lowell for their trip to Burlington on Saturday. This was the game, like Greg said in the other comments, this was the game I wanted to see in the America East. I've been pretty impressed with Lowell all season. But every year we've seen this game in Burlington early Saturday morning, and they just pound these teams. So I think it's going to be a great game.
Oh, well, the one time Vermont did lose, it was a little team by the name of UMBC who had a pretty decent tournament that year. But
Yeah.
we'll preview this game here Friday night. It shows because the game's not till Saturday.
Yeah.
But Griggs, it was opening round day in the ACC, and 2 of the 3 games actually ended up being pretty good games, all things considered.
Really, Louisville for 30 minutes was right in there. Then Boston College just kind of ran away from them. Louisville finishing with a 4-28 record on the season, and they're 7-43 in their last 50 games. And if you need some, cathartic exercise, get on Louisville Twitter. It is amazing. But the other 2, Florida State led for I think 38 minutes. Georgia Tech.
Georgia Tech had 2 leads in the game. One was at 6-5, and the other one was at 61-60.
Yeah, and they went ahead on a made free throw with I think a second to go or less than a second to go.
2/10 of a second to go. Yep.
And it ends Florida State's season with just 9 wins, and then Notre Dame, kind of the end of an era here. And I know that the Irish were not good this year, but God, they had some great years. I will always think of Mike Brey as being a good coach who had a very successful career and run at Notre Dame. You kind of hate to see it go out like this, but honestly, if they were in the top 25, he probably wouldn't be ending anyway. So
yeah, well, they had a shot. The buzzer to tie did not go in,
Yeah.
so they were in this game the whole way. Actually, Virginia Tech had a big lead in the first half, and then Notre Dame came back and it was close the rest of the way. But Salika, 4 games coming up tomorrow: Syracuse, Wake, Pitt, Georgia Tech, North Carolina, Boston College, NC State, Vodtech. The last 2 games certainly with bubble implications. Maybe I don't think Wake Forest is really seriously on the bubble anymore. I don't know that Vodtech is either, but definitely Carolina, NC State need these wins, right?
Well, Virginia Tech could make things a little interesting if they're able to win their next 2 games, certainly their next 3 games, if they're somehow able to get to the championship game right here. Pittsburgh better not be messing around with Georgia Tech, and North Carolina, by the same token, they cannot be messing around with BC.
Dorman, in terms of the seeds at least, do you see any upsets? Do you see any lower seeded teams winning?
Wake Forest, I like to beat Syracuse if that counts. The other 3, I'm with Stalika. Those 3 can't mess around, including NC State. I think NC State is closer to the bubble than most people realize. They can't afford a loss here. That would be a bad loss, and would be the last time the committee sees them. They better be careful.
I don't know that'll be a bad loss because I think Vodtech is clearly the best of these 3 teams that won today. But and Vodtech is not that they were very recently on the bubble. If they're not still there,
they're bad on the road though. It would be I don't think it knocks them all the way out of the bubble, but it would be a bad loss.
Yeah.
But you're also depriving yourself of opportunities to get wins in this tournament.
Yeah, I think you definitely want one more win for NC State, and if you're Pitt, you want to win this game.
Yeah, you don't want to lose to
Carolina needs to do a lot more than just beat Boston College. And Griggs, I'm going to call it right now. We're going to end all the Carolina debate tomorrow when they lose to Boston College.
Okay, it would not surprise me if that happened.
Let me stick with you, Griggs. Over in the A10, it was first round day, and we saw maybe the St. Joe's Loyola Chicago game was a little bit was a close game. The other 2 were complete blowouts.
What has happened to this conference? It is wow. I know it'll get better as the tournament progresses, but when you watch today's games, you just wanted to gouge your eyes out. And Angry Frank, oh man,
He was no show Frank tonight.
Yeah.
It was, and uh, LaSalle completely demolished Rhode Island. St. Joe's, Loyola Chicago, kind of actually Loyola Chicago kept close most of the way, and St. Joe's was able to pull it out. But Dorman, heading into tomorrow's games, Davidson, St. Bonaventure, George Mason, Richmond, GW, St. Joe's, Duquesne, LaSalle. I think the only question to ask is, do we see any seeding upsets here? Because we're definitely not talking bubble with any of these teams.
Correct. I could see St. Joe's beating GW. I really could. I don't think there's much difference between the talent and the teams on the court tomorrow with that game. And I like the winner of the Richmond St. Louis game to knock off VCU. I really do.
Oh, so you think Richmond beats George Mason and then
No, I think George Mason's playing St. Louis, but I
Okay.
think the winner of that game will knock VCU out
Oh, okay.
on Saturday.
Okay. I can
But,
see Richmond
yeah.
I can see Richmond upsetting Mason. They've playing for their head coach and everything.
Yeah.
And
I
Slika,
just-
you picked last night. You picked the Bonnies to win the first round game, I think, right?
Yeah, and I'm also concerned there might be a curfew in place here because I've noticed the latest game they have for tonight and tomorrow night is going to be 7:30 right here.
Yeah, they
But,
started.
yeah,
They
that-
started a little bit early and got everyone done earlier. So I don't mind
Yeah,
that
but that-
actually. I wish everyone
Yeah,
else
but
did.
that being said, I do think St. Bonaventure is likely to win right here. And I would also look for St. Joe's to potentially pull a mild upset as well.
Mhm. Dorman, it was opening round day in the Big West where Bakersfield and Northridge, we thought it would be a good game, and it really was most of the way.
It was. Northridge had a little lead going down the stretch, and Bakersfield really had to push themselves. I thought Bakersfield would have an easier time with this game, but they did not. That went right down to the wire. Needed a few free throws to get past a one possession game, so they hit the free throws with a few seconds left. The other one, I was shocked. I said it was going to be a blowout last.
You got it
night.
right. You got it absolutely right. You said
Yeah,
blowout.
Not that way. Wow, did Long Beach State look bad? Cal Poly moves on to play Santa
Cal
Barbara.
Poly won one Big West game all season, and
Incredible.
the only game that they won by double digits, I think, all season was a win over Portland State in the non-conference. This came out of nowhere. This Cal Poly team.
Did and Beach was perhaps one of the more disappointing teams in all of college basketball this year. Western Kentucky as well, but we're used to being disappointed by how much talent they have versus how little output they have. This was a Beach team that I thought could have won the conference, and they just finished 7th and then got blown out by Cal Poly today.
Yeah. The conference has a day off tomorrow. The women's quarterfinals are tomorrow, so we'll come back tomorrow night and preview those quarterfinal matchups. So let's just keep things moving along here over to the Metro Atlantic, where Griggs, it was first round day, and we started with a real good one between Mount St. Mary's and Canisius, and then it wasn't quite as good, I think, for the last two.
Yeah, Manhattan, I thought, considering everything that had happened, that was kind of a good story to see that they just weren't a complete doormat, but their season coming into an end today, kind of surprising that Marist won as handily as they did. But yeah, I don't know. This doesn't move the needle too much because for me, I like tomorrow's games a lot more.
Well, hold on. Before we get there, let's finish up with today's games. It was the St. Peter's blowout of Fairfield, the Marist over Manhattan. But we start with a real good game between Mount St. Mary's and Canisius that went overtime. And in fact, Canisius missed a layup with I think 4 seconds left that would have won them the game, and it was a wide open layup. I mean, it was just heartbreak for the Canisius in this game here.
Mm-hmm.
But we only have 2 quarterfinals tomorrow, Greg, so I think the games that you really like may not be coming up till Thursday. But tomorrow's games are Iona Mount St. Mary's and Rider St. Peter's.
Well, I'm going to go out on a limb and guess we're not going to have lightning strike twice as far as St. Peter's goes in the post-Shaheen Holloway era. And nor do I see Mount St. Mary's pulling an upset against Iona either.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think we may be in store for a pair of blowouts tomorrow. In fact,
yeah, I think so.
Um, it was also first round day in the WAC with 4 games. California Baptist over Abilene Christian. Grand Canyon over a game Texas Arlington team. I thought
Yeah, yeah,
Tarleton never seemed to be able to put UTRGV away, but did get the win at the end of the day. And we just before we started this, we saw Utah Tech with an overtime win over Stephen F. Austin. Uh,
yeah.
Dorman, your thoughts on these 4 games?
I thought Stephen F. Austin not only was winning tonight, but had a chance to win again. Uh, they didn't come out really looking good, actually. They couldn't hit a shot, and they struggled the whole game. But on the other hand, Utah Tech played well. Their defense got stops when they needed to, and they will move on and play Southern Utah.
In
Tarleton.
in a Beehive rivalry game.
Yeah.
Oh.
Go
The
ahead.
bottom half is almost all beehive right here.
Go ahead, Dorman. Sorry.
And Tarleton moved on, beat UTRGV in a lower scoring affair than I actually thought. I thought there'd be points galore. Their defenses sometimes lack, but actually the defenses showed up today. Tarleton finished the deal, and they move on tomorrow to play Utah Valley.
Actually, it won't be till Thursday. Tomorrow will be the women's
Sorry.
quarterfinals in this conference. So we will not going to do a full preview of these 4 games until tomorrow night's show. But that's it for the first round. We kind of I think it does become pretty interesting the next rounds though. With you
Yeah.
bring Sam Houston, Seattle, Utah Valley all into play here.
Mhm.
Griggs, that was it for today's action. But we got a bunch of other conferences to
Yeah,
preview.
yeah, we
Beginning
do.
though with a return to the Patriot League, it is Patriot League Championship game night, Lafayette at Colgate.
Yeah, and I just don't think there's much to say. I don't know if it'll get quite into the category that we saw Oral Roberts get into tonight, but I think Colgate wins without having to sweat too much. And this is a good Colgate team. I know that they're being projected onto the 15 line. I know that that's what their paper says. They did win at Syracuse, which I know that that's hardly a bubble caliber win, but they're probably better than what we're used to seeing 15 seeds be. I think that they could even go as high as the 14 and really play well in that round of 64.
Yeah, but as a 14 seed, they're going to be hitting one of those 3 seeds, one of those
Oh
tough
yeah,
Big East or Big
I
12 teams, and they're going to be
right. I don't think they win the game, but I
No.
think that they can at least put a good account on for themselves.
So you have no faith that Lafayette's going to get out to a 20-point lead again?
Not a whole lot, no.
I'll tell you what, if they do, I do have faith in Colgate to come back and win the game, even if that
Yeah.
happens. I think Lafayette could spot them 20-0, and Colgate will still win the game. Let's move on to the conference. We have a bunch of conferences kicking off. Almost the majority of what's left. Only a few that will not be kicking off tomorrow that haven't started already. Beginning, Sleeka, let me go with you because you're a Big East guy. It is first round day of the Big East with St. John's Butler, Seton Hall DePaul, and Villanova Georgetown. Are you going with the 3 lower seeds in these games?
I'm certainly not going with DePaul and Georgetown, given their lack of propensity to win away from home, or really lack of propensity to win anywhere in the
Yeah.
Big East right here. But I think Butler also, I'm not sure what the status is for Manny Bates, who actually got injured early in the game at Xavier, and that would be a big loss for the Bulldogs down low. So I think with that in mind, I'll probably go with St. John's, Hall, and Villanova to end up advancing.
Dorman, who's going to win this tournament?
I'm going with Connecticut. I like the way UConn's playing. They were really, really great right out of the gates, and they had that stumble. But you know what? They're looking like the team of the first 6 weeks of the year, and I think they can run Providence right out of the Garden. And I think UConn's going to cut down the net Saturday night.
I think they might be cut down the nets. I don't know that it's going to. I think it might be a bit of a surprise, maybe not to us, but to other people who they're playing. Sleeka, I know you want your Xavier team there, but I think Villanova makes a run of this tournament.
I had also picked Villanova to end up winning the conference tournament, but for the reasons I mentioned last night, I think Xavier gets at least one win just to tune up, but I think it's going to be very difficult trying to get multiple wins with only 7 healthy scholarship players in a setting like this.
Yeah, I agree with you. Griggs, it is also first round day tomorrow.
I'm with Dorman for the same reason. Now let's moving on to the Big Ten.
Moving on to the Big Ten. We got the first round games of Wisconsin, Ohio State, Nebraska, Minnesota. A little bit interesting in that Wisconsin's still on the bubble. Absolutely has to beat Ohio State, though.
I would think so. God, this is crazy that they're in the first round and still on the bubble. I kind of wish we would see from this league and the ACC what we see from the Metro Atlantic, a sextuple header. They have the tendency to do, but
This is where we start the games at 10:30 a.m. and you end at 12:30 a.m.
Yeah, exactly like
that's
that,
a
yeah.
rough day. Yeah,
it is a rough day, but what a wonderfully rough day. I just think Wisconsin and Nebraska. Well, I think Wisconsin's a lot better than Ohio State, and Minnesota's a lot worse than Nebraska.
I'll tell you
How
what,
about that?
Minnesota, their last two games, they beat Rutgers and they had Wisconsin all the way until the very end of the game. I would not be shocked to see Minnesota knock off Nebraska tomorrow.
Okay, and they might.
Griggs, who wins the whole thing?
Well, not Maryland. I'm going with Sparty, believe it or not.
Go with Sparty. Dorman?
I'm going with Iowa to beat Sparty and Iowa to win the whole thing.
Wow. Okay.
Stalika?
I'm going to go in a slightly different direction. I'm going to go with Indiana right here. I don't like the way Purdue's been finishing, and I'm certainly not ready to pick Northwestern or Illinois to win in a field like this.
I'm going with the best team in the conference. I'm going Purdue, which means that Purdue is going to beat my Rutgers squad, assuming we can get by Michigan. But so I hate picking against my team, but I think Purdue is the best team here. And I think that they're going to start waking up from their slumber they've been in lately too.
Yeah.
Stalika, let me stick with you. Big 12 tournament first round day. West Virginia, Texas Tech, and Bedlam, Oklahoma State, Oklahoma.
This is one where I could probably see Oklahoma finally knocking off the Sooners and making them sweat for about 72 hours right here. It's going to be interesting to also see how West Virginia plays, because they're not going to have nearly the sense of urgency that Texas Tech does now that the Mountaineers have actually been able to finally win some of the clubs been failing to do in January and the early part of February.
You know, at least they have a head coach at West Virginia. Texas Tech doesn't. I feel that Texas Tech has probably melted in at this point, and I think West Virginia could crush them tomorrow, actually. Dorman, who do you like to win this thing?
Because they looked so bad last weekend, and this conference is so crazy all year long, so talented. I'm going with the Baylor Bears.
I like the pick. Yeah, you like that pick, Griggs?
I like it. I don't know who to pick. I was gonna pick Baylor, but I'm not really even. I don't even have a sense or a feeling in my gut about any of it. Kansas. Why not?
Take Stalika.
I'm not picking against the Jayhawks in Kansas City right here.
All right. Opening round day in the Pac-12 with Washington, Colorado, Washington State, Cal, Utah, Stanford, Arizona State, Oregon State. Must win for Arizona State's bubble chances. But Dorman, you're being the Pac-12 guy. See any seeding upsets tomorrow?
No. I shouldn't say that. I like Colorado to beat Washington. I think Utah will take care of Stanford. I think Arizona State, ASU will take care of the Beavers. Look for Wazoo. Look for Washington State to go on a run in this tournament. I really believe that. This team could actually steal a bid here. They beat Arizona at home. They should have beaten UCLA also at home. They pissed the game away by not hitting free throws and then threw the ball away right at the end. So those are the two teams in the conference I think are the best, and they had them both beat at home.
Six in a row too for the Cougars right now.
Yeah, they're red hot. I really do. I like Wazoo.
To win the tournament?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I can see it.
Now, I'm going with him. I like Washington State. Griggs, come on, let's make it three. Let's make it three.
I mean, how can you pick against Washington State unless you pick Arizona?
Stalika?
Well, I think given that UCLA is not going to have a completely full roster, it might be a little more difficult to pick them right here. But I do think this is usually the kind of environment where Arizona tends to shine. So I'm going to go with the Wildcats right here.
All right. Griggs, it is opening round day in the SEC. South Carolina, Ole Miss, Georgia, LSU. Question is, do you care?
Not really.
Okay.
Where else
Do
are we going?
you care who wins the conference tournament then?
Y- yeah, I actually think that Uncle Buzz can do it.
Didn't quite pull it off last year. You think he does it this year?
Yeah.
Texas A&M.
Alabama has been sort of dragging their feet. I question how much they even really care about the conference tournament since they're probably going to be on the one line and maybe even the overall number one, regardless of what happens. And A&M is just playing well and feeling good, and I can see them doing it.
All right, Stalika, what do you think?
This seems to be the kind of environment where Kentucky, even though they did have a bit of a slip up at home against Vanderbilt, they're playing their best basketball right now, and I could easily see the Wildcats coming away with this draw of Vanderbilt, A&M,
I could
and
too. Yeah.
probably Alabama.
Yeah, you know what? I would have liked Vanderbilt over Kentucky, except that Vanderbilt just beat them, and Kentucky's going to want the revenge, going to have the revenge in mind, and which is a shame because I wanted to see the Commodores make a run here. But I kind of like Kentucky to win this thing. Dorman, your pick?
I agree with Griggs that Alabama's not going to be real interested in it in Nashville this weekend. I think, and I look for Missouri to make a move in this tournament. I like A&M over Missouri on Sunday.
All right. Stalika, first round day in the Mountain West. Colorado State, Fresno State, UNLV Air Force, and New Mexico, Wyoming.
Yeah, I mean, it would have seemed far-fetched about a week ago to just assume Wyoming would be a complete cakewalk right here. I know Nevada's probably relieved that they're at least in the top 5 and not prone to a potential upset right here. Both Colorado State and Fresno State had been showing some signs of life right here, but I don't see any seeding upsets in this first round right here.
No, Dorman, how about winning this whole thing?
There's some desperate teams in here that should make this tournament very interesting. In Nevada is desperate. Boise State, I think, is on the good side of the bubble, but also Utah State. So the 3 and 4 seeds really need to make a move. I like New Mexico, I really do, but they're playing so bad, it's hard for me to see. But if someone's going to be, if it's not San Diego State or Boise, I like New Mexico. I'm going to take a shot with Patino.
I'm going to take the team that everybody says does not belong even under consideration, and I don't really think they do, but they have all these wins. I think they're going to make it easy, whether they belong or not. I think Utah State takes the automatic bid here.
That would certainly make it easy. In the way that it's gone, it could happen.
Yeah, let me pull that Utah State profile up. Go ahead.
Okay, well, that's not who's going to win.
No, I'm just saying
But, I
that
mean,
this is just this is that profile that you just like a ton of wins, but nothing of real that are really good. But go ahead. Who's your pick to win it then?
Well, I mean, this is a team that Utah State failed to beat, and they've got the coach of the year, and I don't see they're just 9 wins away.
Okay, Stalika, who's winning this tournament?
I'm going with San Diego State right here, but it would not surprise me to see San Jose State also potentially put Nevada out of their misery.
Do you know how insufferable the puppet will be if that happens?
San Jose State wins on Thursday. I'm out of here.
Dorman, Conference USA opening round day. Western Kentucky, UTEP, Florida International, Louisiana Tech, and Rice, Texas, San Antonio. Any thoughts?
Big day in Frisco. Yeah, my thoughts are the curtain is back, Griggs. The curtain.
Yeah, the curtain.
That's the only way you can get a game at 9 and 9:30 if you have a curtain.
Yeah.
No, I don't see any great games here tomorrow, though. I'll be watching. I think the Western Kentucky UTEP game is up for grabs, but I am going with North Texas to win it all.
North Texas to win it all, and FAU still gets in.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh yeah, FAU's in.
Stalika.
I could see Middle Tennessee potentially making things a little interesting for the Owls right here. Ultimately, I can't see North Texas or Florida Atlantic not making it to the title game right here, and I think FAU is going to end up winning and getting a nice seed out come Selection Sunday.
Griggs, how about UAB making a run to win this thing?
That's my pick.
Yeah.
UAB has underperformed all year. They've still done well, but they weren't as. I think that if you would have told us at the beginning in October that there's going to be a CUSA team inside the bubble and in the top 25, UAB would have been our guess as to who it was. They have that ceiling. They have not played up to it yet. I have no reason to think that they will in this tournament, but for some reason, I think they will in this tournament.
They also have a potential trap floor with Rice potentially in the
or they could
quarterfinal round.
Yeah, or they could lose to Rice.
Yeah, I'm going FAU. I'm going with Salika here.
Okay. I do think FAU's in whether they win or not. Oh, MEAC.
Griggs, this is opening day of the MEAC.
Boy.
2 quarterfinals tomorrow. Howard, South Carolina State, and North Carolina Central, Delaware State. Do you see either team getting upset?
No.
Okay. Who do you think wins the whole conference tournament then?
They've been disappointing me all year, so I'll pick them so they can continue to disappoint me. Norfolk State.
Norfolk State. I kind of like Norfolk State also here. Doran.
I'm with you. So we know who's not winning it because I'm with you guys. I like Norfolk State. So
Salika, if it's not Norfolk State, who's it going to be?
I gotta go with DC's top team right here, and that's Howard. Wouldn't surprise me to see Morgan State potentially make a dark horse run either.
Yeah, I think Eastern Shore, I don't like the way they've played it all lately. I think they could go down to that first round, but that's not till Thursday.
That's not till Thursday. And like, normally I'm completely and totally unbiased, but I did have Penguin fever. Eastern Shore fever isn't quite to the level of Penguin fever, but it would be cool to see.
One more conference for tomorrow. Dorman, it is first round day in the SWAC. Quarterfinal round day in the SWAC is what it is actually. And again, split quarterfinals over 2 days. So we have the Alcorn State Texas Southern game and the Grambling Bethune Cookman games tomorrow.
I see 2 blowouts. I like Alcorn State and Grambling big. I don't think Cookman or Texas Southern can hang with them.
You see me shaking my head, and it's because
Really?
Because I'm going to go right now. Texas Southern's going to pull the upset tomorrow.
Wow.
This team had injuries early in the season. They got healthy. They made a nice run to even make it to the SWAC tournament. They're a perennial power in this conference. I'm calling the major upset tomorrow.
Are they going to win the whole thing, Chad?
No, I'm actually going to go. I'm going to go Grambling to win this whole thing.
Yes, I got Grambling
I'm with
fever.
you.
Grambling
Me too.
fever. Here we go.
But I could see them beating Texas Southern in the finals. I think Texas Southern makes a serious run here.
God, if Grambling makes it.
Salika.
Wow.
I could actually see Grambling beating Southern in the championship game right here, getting either the Bayou Classic or the Beehive Championship, whatever you want to call it.
That is it for tomorrow's games. Like I said, there's a lot of conferences kicking off. There's only 3 left that will not have kicked off by the end of the day tomorrow. But let's jump over to our NCAA tournament survival board, I guess is where we're at right now, correct? This is a tool that we do for the NCAA Tournament Selection Committee where we track how many teams are left alive with a shot to make the tournament and potentially win it all, and how they should categorize them.
Yeah, so they fall into one of 3 categories. There's locks. So the committee knows how many teams are left. That's important.
Yeah. So going into the day today, there was 212 left as a result of today's action.
Yeah.
Down under 200, 188.
Yeah. So God, it's whittling away, and to think that by Sunday it'll be 68.
But go ahead. Talk about the categories here a bit.
Well, there's the locks. Those are the teams in blue. Those are the teams that the committee has to take. They don't have a choice. If they try and proceed without selecting a blue team, it will not let them upload the bracket. CBS will not accept it. There's another category, which is the teams they can't select unless they win the automatic bid. Again, if they try and select one of those teams, CBS will not accept it. And then there's the teams in green, and this is where the work really is. Those are the teams they have to look at and decide for themselves.
All right. So if you're a committee member and you're saying, I wonder if maybe Indiana should not be in the field this year.
Yeah, it will not let you submit the bracket because Indiana's in blue. Yeah.
If you're a committee member and you're thinking, I think maybe Long Beach State, they were supposed to be good at the Big West. Maybe we should give them an at-large bid.
Again, it would not. They would not be able to submit the bracket. If they tried to do that, the computer would reformat itself. Like
Well,
it
if
would
you're
just reimage.
And what if you're a committee member then you say, I think maybe we should include Penn State in the field this year.
Well, and again, they could. They would have to discuss
Mhm.
that and vote on
Okay.
it, and then if they decide to select them, then they will.
All right.
So you're
So-
saying if they tried to pick Merrimack, they would get the blue screen of death?
Yes, yeah, it would be the most.
Let's go down here to the Northeast Conference. Up, nope, there's Merrimack, despite
Y-
winning a conference tournament, being crossed
Right.
off. Yeah.
Yeah,
Now if
It-
they Fairleigh Dickinson though, they have to take
yeah, they have to take them. Yeah.
because they're in blue, all bold and caps.
Well, yeah.
That's an automatic bid winner.
Mm-hmm.
Let's is that it for the day?
Yeah.
No, we're doing. I'm getting out of the bunker.
Okay. Every night.
No. I want it known that I got the question right yesterday, so I should already be out.
Griggs is locked in the puppet bunker. Every day we're giving him a chance to get out. All he has to do is correctly guess the two teams in the blind resume of the day. And these are the two blind resume teams. These are not easy ones tonight at all, Griggs.
I
I'm
got
glad
them
to see
right
that.
yesterday.
We don't know what happened yesterday. We never got the answer. We don't know if you're right or not. The whole system crashed. We couldn't figure out what teams they were. But I'm going to give you a clue for tonight's games.
Okay.
Both these teams played this past tonight. Played here on Tuesday night.
Played Tuesday night. Ooh.
Maybe
There
not
was
played
only
each-
118 games. Don't worry.
Yeah.
They did not necessarily. They may have played each other, maybe not, but they definitely played
Oh,
on
that's
Tuesday
right.
night. The question for you is, who are these two teams? Give me the left team and the right team.
Okay. Well. This is tough. I'm trying to think of what was the Big West. No, that's not Big West. One of the things I'm going to check is if they played each other during the year, and I look at the two nets, and I see that they played each other twice. Oh, I know who this is. These are rivals, aren't they, Chad? These are. I know these. This
Okay.
is Montana State and Montana. I got it. I'm getting out of here.
Okay, which one's on the left?
What Montana State in Montana.
Montana State on the left, Montana on the right.
There we
Is he
go.
correct? Is he getting
Yeah,
out? This
Yeah.
would be impressive. I would not have guessed this. It is.
I
Montana on the
Oh,
left,
I got
Montana.
it right.
Oh, so close,
right
Griggs.
Wait, no, I got it right.
No, flipped them.
No, I said Montana State and Montana.
Oh, you guessed the wrong sides. So close. I was impressed there for a moment that you got the right conference even. Wow. On that note, let's go to final thoughts. Salika?
Well, talk about another difference a year makes. Xavier, for example, not having to play on the middle Wednesday of championship week right here. They actually get to do some scouting for a change as opposed to losses 3 years in a row that they had under Travis Steele, even though this 2020 was like right before COVID hit the fan and ended up wiping out the rest of the college season right here. And now we'll get to see how they do with a short bench.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. But I agree with you. I don't know how they can win the conference tournament with a short bench like that. Dorman.
I'm going to be quick. It's late. I feel bad for the people who don't enjoy this college basketball. Like what's been going on the last 7, 8, 10 days and what's going to happen this weekend is simply awesome. It's great. It's fantastic. It's intense. It's high. It's low. It's just awesome. Everyone should be enjoying this.
Everyone should. Everyone should be watching. Everyone should be watching our podcast if you miss any of the games.
Yeah, everyone
Yes.
should be watching our podcast.
Griggs.
Tune in.
Griggs, finish the show off here.
Okay, and it is late. I'll just throw out another shout out to our friend Brian Black, who's raising awareness for epilepsy. He has a charity that he's running. Be sure and follow him on Twitter. It's CBB Jerseys for Hope. He's doing something in connection to our survival board. Every time a team's eliminated, he puts on the jersey and does a little screenshot. So check him out, and if you can, donate a little bit of money.
All right. On that note, I want to thank everybody for joining us. On behalf of David Dorman, John Salika, David Griggs, I'm Chad Sherwood. Have a good night, everybody. We'll talk to you again tomorrow night.